should be able to see me right now. You should be able to see me. You should be able to see me and my screen. I should be like small in the screen right now, and then also just the screen itself. So hopefully you can see all that right now. All right, so you should see me small in the window right now. It's 1850 or actually 17 something, I think. 50 full screen right here. It should be looking good. And this should just be the screen itself. Nothing else should be showing. Yes. How is everybody doing out there today? Can you guys hear me out there? But I'm trying to make sure that everybody can hear me and stuff. So just give me a second here. You guys should also be able to type into the chat box too. Okay, cool. Yes, yes. All right. People are able to see. Very good. I'm doing very good, Mr. Dawson. Thank you very much for asking. Go ahead and get started in just a second here. Give some people a little bit more time to log in. It's like another minute or so. We always have some late stragglers coming in, so I'll just give them a second here to join. I'm trying to check everything else too to see if anybody's having any issues. All right. It's going to be a lot of fun today, you guys. So just another 30 seconds here and we'll get rolling. Okay, guys, so we're going to go ahead and get started with tonight's schedule of things we're going to talk about today. So this is going to be a 2-day class. It's a free class. We're going to talk about a lot of different types of real estate. I've been doing a lot of thinking about how I got started in real estate and what motivated me to do it and where I started and why and how I kind of bumbled into what I do full time now in real estate. So most of you guys primarily know me as the leading expert in pre-developed real estate. And of course I didn't just start off like that, right? So there was a journey there. So when I first started getting into real estate, it was due primarily to my mentor telling me, hey, you should get into real estate. It wasn't, I was so young at the time, I wasn't really thinking about it. But he was like, hey, you need to get in real estate and this is why and this is what you should do. And, so I started looking at real estate and what does everybody look at first? It's houses, getting into homes and such. So he was a real estate developer and he was telling me about getting into real estate. So I started looking into that and what that would be, what that would be like to own a home. And he was encouraging me to buy a home and stuff like that. So now I started to, you know, on this journey, I just kept running into different types of things. Okay. So first starting off with buying a home, that was my first experience with investing in real estate. And then I started to get into more creative strategies. Okay, so I started getting into buying a house, fixing it up, and then selling it. So a fix and flip. Then I started getting into more things as I started learning more and trying to find deals and trying to find how can I get a home for less because really distressed properties or properties that are going through some type of an issue where it needs to be upgraded or enhanced. So it's a distressed property or a distressed sale where someone has to sell the property or they can't afford to hold on to it for some other reason. they're going through maybe a divorce, or they're going through some other kind of very difficult time where they're forced to sell. They're going through a dispute with their partnerships. So any of these type of events can cause a property to be sold at a less at a fraction of the cost. So I started looking into that further. I started looking into potential probate deals. And probate is when someone passes away. They don't have a trust or a corporation that owns the property. So then it goes through the state of California, or whatever state you're in. And the state has to decide where this property is supposed to go or who it belongs to. And normally it just goes to the state if you don't have any heirs or people fighting for it. And it can be very costly. So that's why it's very important for people that have real estate to own trusts and other vehicles to manage their estate planning. Okay. So on this journey, I started meeting different people and just basically calling around trying to find deals, calling escrow companies. Like, just, I didn't know where to start. Okay. And one of the things that I do remember getting into was foreclosures. I started learning about foreclosures and finding a foreclosure list and being able to contact the people on this list. And, if you guys Google right now foreclosure list, you guys will be able to find something on foreclosures somewhere. Okay. And that's kind of where I started with that. And I liked it. It was definitely challenging. There were contracts that I had to learn. There was a learning curve there, how to write and how to speak with someone about, the difficult time that they're going through, but very short and very concise. If someone has a home and they have greater value in the home than what they owe on their loan, this was something I was looking for. And typically in a situation like this person would not want to necessarily deal with someone like me, at least in that time, because they have a home, they have equity. Why do they need to talk to me? But if they're going through a foreclosure because they lost their job, for example, and their home was in disarray, it needed some upgrades, it needed some updates, and they didn't have the financial uh, ability to fix it up. So they can't get what it's actually worth. Okay. That's when I would come in and say, hey, look, what I can do is I can catch up your payments. And that way you don't lose your home to foreclosure. And then every dollar that I put into this property, once I catch up your payments, every dollar I put into this property to rehab it, will sell it at the full maximum value. I'll get all my money back, and then we'll split the equity 50-50. And that's kind of what I was able to do for a couple of years. And I made a lot of money doing this. I was shocked. And there was a lot of things that I learned how to talk to people that were going through this, and the inevitable, every time we would do an agreement, they would always call me later and try to cancel. Hey, I'm just going to go for broke. I'm like, what? What do you mean go for broke? So, I learned about these types of things, and I would make, on average between $50,000, $70,000. So I really liked that a lot. It was good. It was a lot of work though, in terms of, not only am I fixing and flipping, but also finding people and then talking to them and door knocking and then getting them to, want to speak with me, and getting that whole process. So that's one thing that I did. So I also went about, finding distressed properties through the probate process. So you can go to the county recorder's office and find every single person that's going through probate, because it's recorded that they passed away and now they're looking for heirs and the state is taking control of the property. And I would contact the heirs of the property that I believe to be the heirs of the property and say, hey, I know that your parents passed away and so on and so forth. And that was difficult because a lot of times if I'm door knocking, then the people weren't there. They weren't at the home, because they passed away. And their heirs, which may be a child, could be in another state. So that whole door knocking had to go out the window, and everything I had prepared had to go out the window. So now it moved into a very heavy um, sending mail out to people. Hey, sorry for your loss. If you need help with selling this home, I'm here for you, type of thing. And letter number two, hey, we wrote you the letter the first time. If you're interested in selling the home and you don't have time to make repairs or fixes, you can give me a call and I'll be able to help you out with that as well. And this was a pretty cool business too, because I was able to get a number of deals, and on average, I would do maybe between 80 to 120,000, maybe more, because people just didn't have an idea of the value of the property because they're out of state or they're not involved in the property, and they just need the money. They don't care. They were unattached. They did not live there. It wasn't their home. It was just a family member that passed away or a cousin or an aunt that left it to them. So they're like, hey, I ain't gotta do anything. You're gonna fix it up. You're gonna get the top dollar. Sure. And then I would be able to make, six figures on a flip like that. Okay. And that was a very mail intense business. So I had a database that would manage everything. I would put everybody's information in there. And I used to work for IBM, so I knew how to create databases and stuff like that. I'm an engineer by profession. For those of you guys that are meeting me for the first time, I believe you guys have watched some videos on me by now, so I don't like to talk about myself too much in the beginning, take up too much time, but this is relevant. So I was an engineer, so I'm good with spreadsheets and all that kind of stuff. Or I am an engineer. Yes, I am. I'm still an engineer. And I used to work in engineering, I used to work for IBM creating databases, so I put that skill set to use there to create databases. And then I also created a system that with the push of a button, it would create 9 different letters. So sorry, and hey, if you want to sell your home, hey, I don't know what's going on, but if you're not getting the help you need, I'm here. Hey, here's an offer on your home. Here's what the market is doing. You can sell it for this much if you talk to me now, type of stuff. So I had a campaign of 9 different letters, and in the database, I would push a button, it would print it out, and then it would keep track of where in the step they're in. So I wouldn't print them all 9 out at once. I would print letter one, I would mail that off. The next week, I would push the print button. So the ones that already got letter one, they're getting letter twos. The ones that were just entered into the system were getting letter ones, and so on and so forth. So I had this whole business, and it was cool. And I was making money doing that too. But it was very expensive. So I had to figure out when I send people mail, they wouldn't open it. So I had to figure out, well, what kind of mail do I need to send? Does it need to be like a colorful envelope? No. Does it need to look like a wedding invitation? Yeah. If it looks like a really fancy, very nice letter that you don't want to just toss in the trash, people will open it. So that was a cost because now I'm using very good paper. Okay. So I went from that to something else, to something else, to something else, to something else. So my journey has been quite long in real estate. And I'm here to tell you guys something. If you heard about doing some type of wholesale dealings, or you're looking to do some type of real estate, something to have to do with real estate, and you're hearing from people that, hey, you can do this to make money, guys, it's probably true. This isn't like there's so many different ways of making money in real estate. It's unbelievable. And it really comes up to your skill set, where you feel comfortable, and what feels the best. And for me, even when it came to probates where I'm doing, in some cases 6 figures on average on each deal, sometimes the deals were 6 months apart. And I'm sitting here burning through hundreds of dollars in mail every single week and managing tons of phone calls. And I'm doing this by myself primarily. So this is just like, it became something that was, I wanted to be able to find a way that I can make money more quickly, more consistently with less work. Okay, that was my whole thing. Okay, I didn't want to like leave working in corporate America, retire from corporate America to then create a whole nother work for myself or a whole nother set of things to do. So that is kind of what pushed my journey along more and more and more. And also seeing my mentor doing developments, being the lead project manager for his company and managing his projects when he was out of the country or just day-to-day operations. So all of those different things played a vital role in shaping what I do. Okay. Now, a lot of people know me best for real estate. That's what I'm known for. I wrote a best-selling book about real estate. I'm an award-winning speaker. I talk primarily on real estate or something to do with wealth or maybe even personal growth, professional growth. So I've spoken at Fortune 100 companies and stuff like that. But my heart is in investing. I've invested in a lot of different types of things. I'm a very proficient stock investor as well. I trade stocks, I trade options, and all of these different investments that I do, I found something. I found something really important. And what I found that's really important is that all of these different investments kind of link and they follow cycles and they're affected by certain patterns. And if you can see these patterns like an engineer reading a chart, that's how it's become for me. you're able to forecast what may happen next. And I want to tell you guys something that has been probably my greatest gift is being able to forecast what happens next. It's not about the one particular stock transaction where I made 3,000% or something like that, or it's not about the one piece of real estate where I flipped it and made hundreds of thousands or $1 million or whatever. That's not what it is. The greatest thing is being able to see where a market is headed and being able to get there ahead of the market and make the right decisions. Because if you're not right with the type of trend you're in and the right kind of market you're in, you could make a poor investment decision, although the investment vehicle is perfectly sound. Okay. So, with that being said, we're going to talk about a lot of things today, and I'm going to keep flowing from a topic back into real estate, a topic, then back into real estate, okay, and how it affects real estate. But we're going to be kind of seeming like we're going off tangent, but I need you guys to see how my mind works in the background and what is causing me to make the decisions that I make. And you guys can make up the decision for yourself if it sounds reasonable, logical, and well thought out, if this is the same route that you want to go through. So let me go ahead and pull up in my screen now and kind of start sharing some things with you. The first thing we're going to talk about, something that's very relevant in today right now, is the pandemic. We have this big pandemic that's going on right now, the coronavirus. Everybody knows about it. Everybody's at home where you should be. Everybody's in quarantine or you should be. And we need to understand what are the effects on real estate. And people just don't know. Some people are in arguing. Some people are saying, hey, no, real estate has come to a halt. It actually did. Existing home sales came to a halt. Nobody wanted to go and look at a home for sale that who knows who's been in that house and who may have what. People didn't want to leave their home. People, there was different reasons, but that's changed now. People are buying homes. So it's kind of like understanding how this is changing and where it's headed is going to be able to really affect your choices on making good decisions in real estate, okay? And if you take other classes of mine, like stocks, I have other reasons too for doing different things there too as well. The national unemployment rate has risen from 3.5% or 3.5% in March of 2020 to over 10% right now. So this is quite a large increase. So we're talking about, 300% increase in unemployment. And depending on what economists you ask, a lot of economists say these numbers are too low. They're actually higher because after you've collected unemployment for a number of months, or you're no longer on unemployment because you no longer qualify, you drop off the list. So really the number is actually higher, maybe 15 to 20%. So why is that important, guys? Well, as of August, or this past month that just closed, over 20% of U.S. households miss their mortgage payments. They're either on a forbearance agreement where their mortgage payment isn't necessarily due, it's going to be due at some point, but they didn't make a payment. Okay? That's the bottom line. They did not make a payment. Over 20%. Some people are saying it's over 30%. So a third of all homeowners have missed a mortgage payment, okay? Or missed multiple mortgage payments. Over in the last month alone, over 30% of renters either didn't pay their rent at all or made a partial payment. And as you guys know, the moratorium on being evicted ended in like July. So now people are having to make this payment. And there's some places that have extensions that have been done to the moratorium. But again, if you have this pressure of distress, this is going to create an opportunity to help these people and also to make money while you're helping them. Because the point is that if you, in real estate, to make money, you have to create value. You have to. Otherwise, you can't make any money. And the way you create value is you got to find a distressed property or a distressed sale. It's got to be something that's under market value, or at market value, you can make improvements to it and create even greater value. Okay. So I'm showing you guys what's happening in the market and how we're going to capitalize it. Rates are near all-time lows. Now, although they're at all-time lows, because people are able to do forbearance agreements, and we don't know how long that's going to last or how long that's going to be required, different home lenders are creating or raising their requirements for lending. So Chase, America's fourth largest lender, just increased their requirements. Now you got to put 20% down minimum and have a 700 plus FICO score or greater minimum in order to be able to buy. Now, there's growing fears of attending a home showing or going back to work with peers. These fears of like, I'm scared. I don't know what's going to happen. Yes, those fears are still there. And people are very serious about, I don't know if I want to go back to the office. I don't know if I want to be around people full time, not knowing who has what. Those fears are going to continue to persist past the next few months. How is that going to help? And how is that going to hurt? And what's that going to do to the market? So people are fleeing big cities and going to the suburbs to seek more space. So, although people are afraid of going to home showings, they're still taking those steps to buy a home because they need more space. They're saying, hey, why do I want to go to a the city, to the big city, wherever big city you're from, and be around all these different people? Why would I want to be on, you know, be near all these different people in close proximities to different people? Why live in this condo or this high rent apartment in the city where I can move someplace like a suburb and get more bedroom space? And now I can have an office and I can have a room for the gym. Because right now in my building, I can't use the community gym. I can't go to the regular gym either because, hey, all that stuff is closed. So people are fleeing the big cities and they're looking for more space. So where should you be looking to invest in real estate? Guys, suburbs. The big cities, yes, they're going to have a discount right now, and that might draw you in. But it's going to take a little bit of time before the mentality, the new normal may be, hey, why am I going to live in the city and pay twice the amount of money I was paying for half the amount of space? Why when I can work from home? That could be your new normal. And if that is your new normal, you shouldn't be looking at what was once the most premium real estate in the city, the prized jewels in the city, but maybe in the suburbs. What was something that was overlooked? What was an area that's, who wants to live out there? Well, guess what? A lot of people do. And it's affordable because it's out there. And if you can get to it first, then guess what? You can make a buck or two. Okay. So that's what's important there. Existing home sales right now, just this past month, hit a 10+ year high. Okay. So in the last decade or more, there has not been this many home sales. Okay. So this is people are catching on now. So it's like, whoa. But don't forget, there's still not a lot of inventory on the market. So the demand is there, but the supply is still coming online. There's still people that are like, they don't know that if they put their house for sale, it can sell. They're still hesitant. They're still reluctant. So for those people that are still not knowing or may have a second property that they don't want to travel to right now or they don't want to use and they definitely don't want to rent it out, they definitely don't want to Airbnb it out, those people you may want to contact. So we're looking at how we can create these valuable situations here. Okay. So these are just some of the articles. So you guys know I'm not just making it up. I put it into one nice slide, but I read a lot. I'm constantly reading different articles and oh, the suburbs, demand is going up. And here's the actual United States existing home sales. I look at a lot of graphs and charts that people just don't want to take the time to read, and I get it. But you can see from this chart that we are currently, or maybe you don't read charts. Maybe you say I don't like charts, Chris. So point it out to me. So you can see here on this chart that towards the right, you can see that it's definitely at an all-time high right there, all the way to the right there. And you can see that over the last, decade or so, it's remained below that level. So yeah, there are a lot of home sales right now, and I expect that trend to continue, not for it to just dry up all of a sudden. And I think that we're going to reach a new normal in our society of what is the thing to do. What's the end thing to do? Before it was, hey, let's be in the city, everybody crowded on top of each other. But that may not be the way people want to go anymore because now we have the internet, we can work remotely and such. So I listed out every single possible way that I can think of to make money in real estate. And I'm going to share that with you on one slide. So it's going to get kind of busy. And if I miss something, you tell me what I missed. Type it in the comments. Let me know what I'm missing so we can all take a look and go, hey, yeah, you missed that one. And maybe I did miss one, okay? So let's go ahead and take a look. And this chart is going to be broken down into what type of real estate investment you're making, how much money is required, how much knowledge is required, what's your average monthly income you can make, and what's your yearly income that you can make doing this strategy. Not only did I double check this with third-party sources. I lived it. I've done it, so I know. So if somebody comes to me and say, I'm making this, I'm gonna be like, you must be doing 8 to 12 deals a year. You must be doing it in cities like this because I just know I've already done it, and I've done dozens, if not hundreds of these different types of strategies, okay? So the first one is wholesaling, okay? The money required is low, the knowledge is low. And let me define what wholesaling is. Wholesaling, don't ever get caught up with a difficult word. Wholesaling, Chris is what's he talking about? Let me explain it to you really simply. You go to buy a house, you draft up a contract. The person that is selling you the home signs it and you sign it. You guys agree upon a price. Let's call that price $300,000. But the house needs work. The house needs about $50,000 worth of work. And if the house were tip top, it'll be worth 400,000. So you have a deal under contract for $300,000. Yes, it does take 50 grand to fix up, but then it's worth 400,000. And the guy just wants to get rid of it, okay? He doesn't care about it. He wants it gone. So he's willing to sign this contract for $300,000. Now you have no money, and I say $0, not a penny in your pocket, but you have the knowledge to write the contract and find the deal and get it under contract. All you have to do is where your name is held. I so and so am going to buy this home, and I am now the buyer, and this person so and so is now the seller. Where your name appears, don't put your name. Just put your name and or assigns. John Smith and or assigns. Christopher Meza and or assigns. Now that contract can be assigned to anybody else. Now you could just go on the free market and go, anybody want a house worth 400 grand and needs $50,000 worth of work? I'll sell it to you for 300 grand plus $10,000 right now. So you sell that contract for $10,000. Someone then goes to the owner and says, hey, you're obligated to execute this contract. Here's your $300,000. They walk in, they make $50,000 worth of repairs. They go ahead and sell it for 400,000. Now, because they paid you $10,000 for the contract, they had to pay 300,000 for the home, $50,000 in repairs. That's 350 plus the 10,000 that they gave you 360, and they sell for 400. So they make 40 grand. That's what wholesaling is, and wholesaling is very attractive, very popular. You can look it up online. Wholesaling, wholesaling, wholesaling. No money down, no money required. Yes, it's true, but you do have to have knowledge of some kind. It's not a lot of knowledge. It's very simple to just pull out a piece of paper, a contract, and write in and or signs, but you do have to know how to find a deal. If you can do that, you can start making money wholesaling. And if you don't have any person to sell this to, just go to any local real estate investment club. Go to any local real estate investment association, REIA, REIA. Look it up for your neighborhood. Look it up for your city. Go down there and say, hey, I got this contract, 300,000. I'll give it to you for 10 grand. I'll give it to you for 10 grand. If you give me 10 grand, it's yours. Boom, you get this house for 300,000, and you can make 90 grand off of this or 40 grand off of this after repairs. Okay, so if somebody's doing wholesaling, I expect you to make, thousands of dollars per month, 2 grand, 5 grand. Doesn't have to be a whole lot. Maybe you make $30,000 a year doing this, okay? So your average yearly income is going to be measured in the thousands of dollars. 20,000 wholesaling this year, 50,000 wholesaling this year, 100,000 maybe wholesaling this year. But that's very tough to do, okay? Sure, there's some superstars out there that are going to be wholesaling like a beast, and they're going to be making hundreds of thousands of dollars a year. But I'm talking about the average. The average person jumping into real estate, no money, no money required at all, is going to make thousands of dollars a year, 5 grand for the year. I only got to do one deal this year. I made 5 grand, 10 grand for the year. I only did one deal. I only made 10 grand. Or maybe they're making tens of thousands, 50,000, 60,000. That's going to be on average. All right. Next one. And if you guys have questions, type it in. Let me know what's going on. Like, hey, I don't understand what this guy's talking about. Type it in. Let me know. The next one is going to be renting residential real estate. That's what everybody does. Buy a house, rent it out. I don't have to explain this. Your money required is low, your knowledge required is low. You buy a house, you rent it out for more than your mortgage. Pretty simple. Now, what are people normally doing? They're buying homes that are $1,000 per month mortgage if you're out of state, out of California. Then they're renting it out for $1,100. So they're making $100 a month, a couple $100 a month. Maybe they're in California and they're buying it for $2,000 a month and they're renting it out for $2,300 a month. Maybe they have, 3 or 4 homes that they're doing this with out of state or in state, whatever. This could be, thousands of dollars of monthly income. 1,000, 2,000 every single month, 3,000 every single month. Um, but it starts to sound weird if you're renting out single family homes and you're making, something like $200,000 a month. That's not reasonable. You must have hundreds of homes, and that's a pretty difficult portfolio to build. So on average, doing a strategy of renting out homes, you make hundreds, maybe thousands per month, and average yearly income maybe thousands to 10,000s per year or something like that, okay? But not hundreds of thousands. So again, you don't need a whole lot to get started in this. The next one is fixing and flipping. You need a little bit more money to get started in this. Um, you're gonna have to get help from different people. If you don't have all the money yourself, maybe hard money lenders, maybe using a credit card, but you're gonna need some money to do fix and flips. You gotta have the money to buy the property, you gotta have the money to rehab the property, and you're gonna need to raise that capital if you don't have it yourself. You're gonna have to have a little bit more knowledge. You have to know how to evaluate what this is gonna cost to repair, and you got to be able to repair it and repair it right and enhance it correctly. And people that are doing fix and flips, maybe on a deal they'll make 40 grand, 50 grand on a deal, 70 grand on a deal, 100 grand on a deal. So maybe they make tens of thousands of dollars per month, okay, and then maybe hundreds of thousands of dollars per year, something like that, okay. So we're in that range. If you only do one deal or two deals, maybe you're making 30, 40 grand per flip, depending on where you're at. Um, and flipping has become so popular now that it's very difficult to find a deal that's way below market value. Once a property is under way below market value, you get a lot of people bidding and it bids the price back up. So it's very difficult to get really high profits, okay, fixing and flipping. Now you're buying a house in a very wealthy neighborhood that's small, 2 bedrooms, all the other homes are 5 bedrooms, and you enhance this house into 5 bedrooms. I mean, yeah, you could probably make, $100,000 on that one deal, maybe a couple hundred thousand. You buy a house, you put a duplex in the back and sell the house and duplex. Maybe you can walk away with $150,000 in your pocket after all costs are done. So, or taken into account. So, fix and flips are there. All right. Renting commercial real estate. You can rent an apartment complex. You can rent a shopping center. You can rent office space. Buy a building and rent it out. Your money required very high. You got to have cash. Okay. The requirements to buy are a lot. Normally 30% down. Your knowledge is medium. You don't have to have some extreme knowledge, okay? It's probably just as much knowledge as a fix and flip guy. You're just doing it times multiple tenants, okay? So you might have an apartment complex. So what's it to like to rent one home versus renting an apartment that has four doors or seven doors, I should say. 5 doors or more is commercial. 4 doors or less is residential. So people that are renting this stuff, they're making tens of thousands, maybe hundreds of thousands of dollars per month, okay? Renting apartment complexes and such. So per year, you can make hundreds of thousands, maybe millions of dollars per year. You can. If you own a couple of different apartment complexes, maybe like 7 different apartment complexes, you could start reaching into the point where you're making $100,000 a month and you're making possibly $1 million or more per year in rent receipts, okay? So moving along. Real estate development. Money required, very high. Knowledge required, high. You got very high. You got to know, you got to have some skills to do this. Your average monthly income is going to be hundreds of thousands, if not millions of dollars. Your yearly income is going to be millions of dollars, maybe tens of millions of dollars. Okay. This should be very clear to you guys. The guys that make the most money in real estate are the developers. People do not understand that. Yeah, you're coming in to fix and flip a house that what? A developer developed and made the real money. You're coming to buy an apartment building that yeah, a developer already flipped that and made his biggest money. He turned dirt into a building, and he went from dirt, which is 10 grand, to a building which was 5 million. That is who's making all the cash. And the average monthly income, they may not get paid monthly. Maybe their project takes 2 years, but when they walk away with a check for $2 million, okay, it took them 2 years. If you average that out across the last 2 years per month, this person's making, close to $100,000 per month. All right. So real estate development is where it's at. So this is every single type of real estate that you could do. That's it. It's over. Everything falls into this category. Everything. And just to explain it a little bit further, I put this sentence down here. Making money in real estate involves improving the property to create value. Therefore, most real estate strategies involve with the purchase of a distressed sale or a distressed property. For example, it could be an abandoned property. It could be a probate. It could be a tax lien, a tax sale. It could be a foreclosure. It could be a functional obsolescence issue where it's like a house that has 3 bedrooms, only 1 bathroom. Nobody wants that anymore. You got to add a couple bathrooms to it. It could be a forced sale, like a divorce, a partnership. It could be an REO, which is a property that the bank owns. You can actually contact your bank and say, hey, do you have any properties that you own? And normally these properties, you can buy them for under market value. Not by much, but you can. Okay. Or maybe a new zoning restriction comes in where, hey, this property that used to be single families, we now built this freeway nearby or this new high-speed rail system nearby. It's no longer for single families. This is now for commercial apartments. So if you were to have a fire, if you were to have a problem, you can no longer fix your home to pull permits to fix it because it's no longer zoned for a house. You can keep it as long as you want. It's grandfathered in, but although it's grandfathered in, you can't make any additions. You can't enhance it because it's no longer part of the code. So, do you know how many neighborhoods are going through that? It's incredible how many people that they're in a neighborhood where the zoning has changed and now they cannot repair or enhance or pull permits to fix up their home. They can't. So you just got to be in that neighborhood, constantly hitting it hard. Like, hey, do you want to sell your home? Do you want to get top dollar? And you're buying it for the purpose of flipping it into a totally different thing. Maybe selling it to a developer. Hey, man, you want to buy this piece of land for $1 million, and you can turn it to an apartment building, make $2 million after you sell off the building or whatever. Yeah, but really, what it is you have a contract for a home that's functionally obsolete. You have a contract to buy that house for $1 million, and then you're like, here's the land right here. You got to just knock down this house, type of thing. So, um, economic uncertainty. Well, guess what? We're in economic uncertainty right now. We're in a pandemic, and people don't know what's going on. So you can get ahead of them, make a buck. All right. So we're gonna flip over into something that's very important because every time you're in a pandemic, the government is looking for a way to end it. Okay? A sitting president wants to end it. It's bad for a sitting president. They want to put together a strategy to fix the problem, make it go away, and bring us back to a positive income as a country. Because if not, they're going to get the boot. It's just that simple. And a president coming in is going to want to make swift and quick change. He's going to want to spend as much money as possible because anytime that there's a pressure, like a big recession, a new president or sitting president is allowed to do things that they never would have been able to do had things been normal. But when things are bad, it's like we allow people in power to just spend money however they want. Just spend it and do all these different things. And we're going to give everybody $1,200. We're going to give everybody $600 a month. And we're going to do this and we're going to do that. Every single option is okay, 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 okay. Well, if things are good, why would you give everybody $1,200? Like, we're not paying your, what are you doing? There's all these different things that go into this. So we're going to talk about the first 100 days. All right. That's a term that was coined by Franklin Roosevelt. And hey, he became president in 1932. His crisis was the Great Depression of 1929. It had been lingering for 2 or 3 years. Unemployment was 50%. It was awful. It was terrible. And he came out with a solution called the New Deal. Whoa, the New Deal. And he had the 3 R's called relief, recovery, and reform. And relief was helping out people that are hurting right now. Give them some type of relief. Give them some type of cash. Give them something that they can say, thank you, you made it a little bit easier to get by today. Recovery is putting people to work. How do we recover from this? Build bridges, build schools, build hospitals, build. And reform. How do we make sure that this does not happen again? Reform it. Okay. So this is the blueprint that all other presidents have followed. And I'm going to prove it to you. All right. So not only did he do the 3 R's, but he also did the Emergency Banking Act and he established the FDIC insurance. So at the time, people that had money in the bank, they would just pull it all out. I don't know what's going to happen. Let me get all my money. So banks were closing at a rate of like hundreds of banks per year, if not thousands of banks. It was just closing. So what he did is he shut down the entire banking system. The banks are going to be closed for 1 full week. No more banks for 1 full week. And then I'm going to create FDIC. So now he insured it up to $2,500. If you have $2,500 in the bank, the government will ensure that you can have access to that money no matter what happens. That was the first time FDIC came out. FDIC in the 80s got moved to $100,000. That's what I've been using my entire career, $100,000 FDIC. I told all my clients. And then in 2008, when we had the whole big crash, The Obama administration raised it to 250,000. So right now, FDIC is 250,000. It was all born in Roosevelt. Okay. Now Roosevelt also removed us from the gold standard. That means for every dollar that you had in your physical hand, they had to have a piece of gold worth the exact same amount in the Federal Reserve. So they cannot just print money. Okay. It was kind of like dropping off your shirt at the dry cleaners. They give you a ticket. That ticket has value because you lose the ticket, you might not be able to get your shirt. But if you put the shirt, if you give them the ticket, you get your shirt back. If you give them the dollar, you get your gold back. Okay. So he created that. He removed us from that so that they can print as much as they want. And now every president wants to print money. It's like, let's print, print, print. How long can you print? That is the question. Okay. He also started the Works Project Administration. Actually, that was already existing, but he started the Public Works Administration that worked together with the Works Project Administration to create jobs, building highways, schools, hospitals, bridges, tunnels, airports, dams, and other public related projects. He began the Tennessee Valley Authority to provide electricity. Why electricity? Electricity, when you put electricity to an area, people can now live there. It incentivizes economic development. And then because the electricity can make cash every time somebody's paying the electricity bill, it'll pay for itself over time. So presidents love electricity. They love it because it's a winning strategy for them. So I'm also highlight stuff like bridges and public related projects and highways and all this stuff, okay? Now, John F. Kennedy comes into office in 1961. At the time, we had had a prosperity since the Depression. Since 1932, since Franklin did all this stuff and World War II ended and all that, we were in a time of prosperity for over a decade. John F. Kennedy didn't have to do anything. So what he did as his first action within his first 100 days was the Bay of Pigs. This was a time where the United States and the USSR was at, high tensions, and the USSR parked missiles in Cuba right 90 miles off of Florida. Big missiles pointing towards the United States. And it was like, no, you guys can't have this here. So John F. Kennedy went ahead and in his first 100 days, nothing else to do. Economy's great. He launches the Bay of Pigs, goes in there to overthrow Castro. Castro was totally ready, and he put it all to rest, and it was a failure. So in his first 100 days, he had an epic failure. Okay. Now, here comes the crisis. About 11 months after he becomes president, we get our first recession in over a decade. And it's called the flash crash of 1962 because it only lasted 6 months. What was the solution? Well, he lowered the margin requirement to trade. And a margin requirement is if you have $50,000, you can buy $100,000 worth of stock. We'll give you margin. We'll give you credit. We'll extend you an amount where you can buy more than what you have in your account because stocks shouldn't move that much in a short period of time. So as a broker, I'll give you the credit to trade to buy more than what you have because you should be able to repay me. It's not a whole lot. And that's what margin does. Okay. So he lowered the margin requirement. So now you can get more, you can borrow more with less money so you can create more wealth for the stock market. And he also did a big tax cut, okay, about $10 billion in tax cuts, okay? So that was his solution. So presidents love tax cuts too, all right? So here comes Barack Obama. He's dealing with the Great Recession in 2007, and he creates the American Recovery and Reinvestment Act of 2009. And this was a buyer, he created this buyer credit. So if you buy a home, you get a special credit to buy a home. If you outfit your house with renewable energy, you get a special renewable energy credit, and you get these tax incentives. Not a tax cut, but incentives. If you do what we need you to do, if you stimulate the economy, you're going to get some type of a rebate for having done so. So it actually costs you less to do it, okay? So tax incentives. And he invested huge in renewable energy. He was the first president to do this, and his investments in renewable energy have affected the entire market forever. I mean, it literally went from not having any utility scale solar developments to having states like Hawaii and California and other states saying that they're going to go 100% renewable. I mean, this kicked it all off. Okay, so his small contribution into the space stimulated a lot of private, state, federal. I'm sorry, a lot of state, local and private money going in too. Like, hey, if you're going to give me $100 million back if I spend 2 billion, and I'm going to make a profit whether you give me $100 million or not, let me go ahead and build it. That type of a thing. Okay. So he invested heavily in renewable energy. He also invested heavily in highways, bridges, high speed rail, and other public transportation. So it's like the same stuff. Like Obama just said, what did Roosevelt do? He did highways. I want to do it too. He did bridges. I want to do that too. I want to do public related services. I want to do electricity. What can I do? That's all he did. Same thing. And it worked, right? It stopped the recession and we started doing well. Okay. So, yay. Okay. I'm looking at some of the comments. It's not backed by gold. Yeah, not backed by gold. It's not backed by anything. It's just backed by, hopefully you guys believe in the United States banking system. So this is just a couple example of the first 100 days. Well, guess what, guys? Whether you like it or not, we have another round of 100 days about to come up. Someone's about to set another 100-day something. It's either going to be our sitting president or a new president. Okay, and that's going to happen. We're 2 months, 60 days away from an election process, and come January, we're going to see another round of 100 days where anybody can kind of do whatever the heck they want to do for 100 days and create all these programs. So let's talk about the next 100 days and see if we can get ahead of it and make some money because of it. Okay, next 100 days, we got Donald Trump, we have Joe Biden. What do these guys believe in? Okay, let's see. And this is off their websites. You guys go look it up. Fact check me. Okay, go look up. And here's the websites. Donald Trump's website is Promises Kept. That's his slogan for the year. And JoeBiden.com, okay, for Donald Trump and Joe Biden. Now, Donald Trump came in, and in his first 100 days, the economy was doing better. It was doing great. The Obama administration had done a really good job. So he gave the largest tax cut, deep tax cut, that he called a tax reform, which he did reform a lot of taxes too, in addition to the tax cut, and how our taxes work, and it was beneficial for some and not for others. Okay, and it was the largest tax reform in about 30 years or so. So he did that in 2017. So that's already done, and he's running with that. Okay, but on his website, this is what he's pledging to do for 2021. Okay, he's saying he's going to rebuild roads, bridges, railways, etc. It's on his website. Go on there. I'm like, okay, so Roosevelt. All right, what are you going to do different? Well, I mean, come on, what's going on? Then he says he's going to do power and electricity projects. He's going to provide rural areas with reliable, affordable power. Okay, so you're going to do what exactly? Okay, cool. All right, fine. I get it. That's where he's at. All right, that's what his website says. That's what he's going to do. All right, Joe Biden. He wants to eliminate the deep tax cut portion of the Donald Trump plan. Okay, so is that going to affect everyone? Maybe, maybe not. Okay, so there's some loopholes that were created that are giving an unfair advantage to certain people that have certain type of assets. So um, I have a better understanding of what he's doing, but you guys need to go and look at what he's saying he's going to do. But he's going to eliminate a portion of those tax cuts. Okay, he's also going to create a roadmap. This is all within the first 100 days to end homelessness. All right, he wants a roadmap done. How do we end it? He wants to help write he's the one that helped write the renewable energy bill that was so successful with Obama. He was part of that bill, writing that bill. And he's going to create what's called the Green New Deal. So just like Roosevelt, he's calling it the New Deal, but the Green New Deal. And he wants America to be 100% clean energy by 2050. He's going to spend $2 trillion over the first 4 years of his presidency. And that $2 trillion is going to create over $5 trillion of money being spent from states, local governments, and private investors trying to capture his incentive. Okay, so over $5 trillion is going to go into. It's going to revamp how everything works in the United States. He's going to spark the second greatest railroad revolution, and he's going to do stuff like if you have a city with over 100,000 residents, they're going to create public transportation for that area. He's going to electrify existing rail systems, and there's more stuff on Joe because he was a lot more clear than Donald Trump's website. Okay. So I'm not selecting one of the versus the other, but this is just what's happening. And he's going to build 500,000 new electrical vehicle charging stations because he wants everybody to go into all electric vehicles and he wants to get off of oil and stuff like that. And he wants all new American buses to be built zero emissions. So let's cut all this stuff. They're about to do One or the other are going to do energy projects, and one or the other, both of them are going to do transportation projects. That's what they're going to do. They're going to be revolutionizing transportation. If you can buy real estate near major hubs for power distribution, you're going to make money. If you can buy real estate near highway projects, rail projects, especially high speed rail that is clean energy, stuff like that, or even Amtrak or even local rail services. Joe Biden rides Amtrak all the time. If you can find these railways and buy homes near these areas that have these stops, you're going to be in a much better position, especially if they're going to be adding a stop to that area. Okay, so if it wasn't already apparent that, hey, we're going to add a new stop on this new train to this particular part of the city, if it wasn't already inherent in your mind that this area is going to have some economic value increase because of that, it should really be in your mind now that both of these presidents are like kind of looking at doing something very similar in terms of that particular thing. Their approach is different. How they're going to spend the money is different. How much they're going to spend is different. But still, they're going to spend money on these things. And I want to know where they're going to spend it so that I can be positioned in that market before that happens and I can make money from them spending it and therefore incentivizing others to spend more money on top of that, which is like a snowball effect of, hey, the government's spending this, but private investors are going to spend this to capture that money. And guess what? Chris is there to make that money too, or you're there too. Okay. So that's the whole point. So let's talk about where real estate is headed so we can bring this all to a understanding of why we need to talk about this stuff. People are moving to the suburbs, folks. We know that. Business functions can be run successfully remotely. They figured it out. Wow, we actually don't need an office. There are several companies that are permanently closing down their office and they will not be returning. They will not be providing an office for their employees. Everybody's working from home now. Moody's analysts are forecasting some things. The national office vacancy rates should rise to about 20% by next year. California is currently at 12. New York is currently at 11. I don't know what city you're in, but I've read all the different cities. Well, not all of them, but a lot of the major markets. New York rents have plummeted as much as 25%. San Francisco and Bay Area rents are plummeting as we speak right now. They're at over 12% and still falling. So we're seeing these type of things happening. And why is all this happening? Because people are moving to the suburbs. So where should you guys be investing? Hopefully, you guys are understanding this is where the trend is moving right now. Investments in infrastructure are going to lead to an increase in real estate value. So whether they're building whether they're going to build more solar, more renewable energy, or they're going to build new highways, new roads, if you're in those areas, you're going to profit. All right. So just to show you guys again, I like to show people that I'm doing the research and there are some articles that you can read and stuff like that. That's, San Francisco sees unprecedented drop in rent prices. I'm constantly looking at stuff. All right. So I want to talk to you guys about what type of investments you guys are interested in. And while you guys are thinking about that, I'm going to go back to this chart because I left a couple of things off. I left actually one big one off and I wanted to see if anybody would catch it and call it out, but nobody did. And I'm going to talk to you guys about some actionable things that you guys can do while you guys are thinking about what kind of real estate you want to get into. I want you guys to know something. When it comes to real estate development, and these guys make the most money out of anybody, there's something every real estate developer needs. And I would like for you guys to type it into the chat box if you guys can, please. What does every single developer need in order to develop? There's one thing every developer needs. Come on, guys. Participate. Be there with me. Okay, nobody wants to type it in? Yes, sir. They need land. LAND. If the government is going to incentivize developers to go off and build solar farms, go off and build 500,000 new charging stations, go off and build more railroads to provide railroads to every single city that has 100,000 people or more. The government is going to do that. What do the developers need? They need dirt. And do you know your money required to get into land is very low? Just to not be so one-sided, we're going to call that the money required as a medium. The knowledge required is actually high. You need to know a lot. You can get burned investing in land. However, if you invest with me and you invest based upon the things that I'm sharing with you, I promise you, it'll make the knowledge required a lot less necessary. You just need to be able to understand the information that I'm communicating with you so you can go, that does make sense. I will do that investment. Or it doesn't make sense. That's not the investment for me. But I have compiled all the data necessary. I know the areas that developers are going to have to go. Not like, oh, they have a choice to just go anywhere. In order for you to develop renewable energy, you gotta have large power lines and distribution networks in place. If you don't have that, you can't just build a solar farm in the middle of nowhere. You got to get the power out of there. I know where those distribution networks are. For those of you guys that are just joining me too, I am a designated expert witness for eminent domain cases, and I specialize in renewable energy and a couple of other topics as well. So lawyers will hire me to come in and explain real estate values. So I know the areas that I'm constantly having to go and fight on behalf of the homeowner that is having a difficult time or the landowner because they're not getting the fair market value. I don't want them to get any extra. I just want them to get what's fair, what the value is. And a lot of times when people see dirt, they misconceive it and go, hey, it looks like dirt, it looks like it's worth nothing. But no, there's value because you're getting ready to build this, or there's value because they have the opportunity to build this and you're taking that away, or there's value because they were going to build this and now they can't thanks to you taking this away. Okay? So, regardless of which president is here, there is a very sure way for me to make money, and I'm going to share that with you, and that's why we have a day 2 tomorrow. Okay? But before we end tonight, I want to share with you guys some actionable things. And I hate using big terms because everybody gets confused. So I can say an AITD, all-inclusive trust deed. I can say a wrap mortgage, wrap, WRAP, and everybody's going to go, wrap mortgage? This guy's talking Greek. Let me talk plain English. How about renting to own? Do you guys all know what that means? Instead of renting a house and throwing away money, let me move to the suburb like everybody else and do a rent to own situation. If you currently live in a home and you're renting it, let me stop just renting this house and let me turn it into a rent to own. Let me call the owner of the home and turn it into a rent to own. Rent to own is a very unsophisticated term. I would never use this among professionals, but I'm trying to appease to a greater audience without everybody getting lost. And it's very simple, guys. Someone has a home. They paid $500,000 for it 5 years ago. Okay, it is now worth $750,000. Okay, let's just say they're currently paying $2,000 in their mortgage. You tell them, hey, I will buy the home for you for $700,000 or $750,000, the full amount of today. And I know you're paying $2,000 on your mortgage. I will give you $2,500 a month. And after 5 years of me making timely payments, I will buy the home traditionally outright and pay you off whatever is left. So we're agreeing to $750 today, but I'm making payments of $2,500 every single month. So I know my rent is currently $2,100. How would you like to make an additional $400? What? Yeah, I'll give you an extra $400 if you sell your home to me. I want to buy it from you, and I'll buy it at full fair market value. You don't have to make any repairs. You won't even have to worry that I'm not going to pay you due to the virus, because if I don't pay you, then I'm losing the opportunity that I've already put all this extra money into buying your home. Okay? So someone may not want to do that. They may say, oh, well, if I could sell it, I can get a large chunk of cash. I own for 500,000. If I sell it for 750, I can get 250 grand. So I don't want to just rent it out to you for 5 years and da da da. Well, what you tell that person, you say, well, look, If you were to sell your home, you're going to have a taxable event. That taxable event is going to be $250,000 being taxed. Instead of that, how about I give you $30,000 right now, and instead of paying $2,100 a month, I pay you $2,500 a month for right now, and I buy this home. So now I'm buying it for $750. I want you guys to understand the brilliance of this. If you're making a $2,500 payment on a $750,000 fair market value, even if you offer them $800,000, because you're not paying interest, it's all going towards principal. It is, do the math over 5 years. What comes out? $2,500 a month is going to come out to $30,000 a year. Over 5 years, you're looking at, what's that? 150 grand. So you knocked off 150 grand off the home. So now when it's time to buy it, it's down to 600,000 is what you actually owe the person. Okay. If you look at a mortgage over the same time frame and you paid 750,000, it's nowhere near that much reduction in principal. Nowhere near. Almost all of your money goes towards interest, and you're still owing roughly about 750,000, 730,000 after 5 years of making monthly payments if you bought the home traditionally outright up front. So I know there's a lot of things I'm covering with you, but again, right now, one of the things that people could do is do a rent to own situation. If you're good, you don't want to do it, create that for your cousin, your sister, your brother, your friends, whatever. If you do that for them, you can charge them a fee for structuring this. Okay, so you can say, look, man, instead of you renting that place, I'll talk to your owner for you. I'll get it turned into a rent to own situation, but you're gonna have to pay me some money for having done that. You can give me $100 a month for 2 years. It's 2,400 bucks. Okay, something like that. This is if you have the knowledge to do it. It's not very difficult to learn. It's something that you can do for yourself or for others, and it can make you profit right now, and it doesn't take any money. I mean, if you're there now, then maybe you're paying a little bit more per month, but because you're actually buying it, now you have a write-off. And there's a way that you can write off the taxes. If you do this rent to own situation using a trust, and I can also tell you how to do that too, which I would obviously recommend that you do. By using a trust and becoming part of the trust and part of this agreement, now you're able to take advantage of writing off the taxes and other things on this home that you don't even technically own. So you're paying an extra $400 per month, let's say, but the tax benefits that you get are actually allowing you to keep maybe an extra $4,000 or $5,000 a year in taxes because you have all these write-offs now. So there's so many benefits to this. So it's something that I thought about. What would I do right now if I lost everything and I had to start over and I'm in this pandemic? What would I do? And for me, I would be going out to every single person renting a home going, hey, why are you renting when you can do a rent to own? And now you can collect some down payment money, maybe 10 grand from the person. And now they can't just choose to not pay because you don't have a lease agreement. You have a rent to own agreement. So the second that they're not paying, they're no longer a tenant and they're not protected under that law, and you can remove them immediately. So why would you do that? Why would you? I will also tell people that are looking to sell their home on the market, hey, why don't you sell rent to own? You can get more money from it because instead of you selling it for 750, what it's worth right now, you can sell it to somebody for 800,000 and charge them 3% interest because they have no ability to come up with a down payment. They're willing to pay a little bit more per month so they can have home ownership and have the write-offs. You can get a little bit more for your home, and you can still get a little bit of cash out of it too. So there's people out there that have maybe possibly bad credit but have high cash flow, high savings. They're living in a loft or a condo in some downtown area of some major city. They want to come to the suburbs and they're used to paying extreme amounts of rent for very small square footage. And now you can sell them your home at a high price. So there's a benefit either way of structuring it. And guys, we are now at 7 o'clock, so I'm going to start, or past 7, I'm going to start wrapping up. But the point is, if you have interest in something like that and you have more questions, you can call our office, 844 RTA Land. That should be the number, yes, I think. Yep, Yeah, 844 RTA Land, which is 844-782-5263. I would ask for either Anna or ask for Janesh, and they will help. They can put you together with some type of a short meeting or something like that on what you're trying to do. But I'm here to help. I want you guys to learn more. And tomorrow is going to be a lot of fun. We're going to see out of all these different types of real estate that you can do, what is my favorite, why it's my favorite, how you can get involved, and how you can make a tremendous amount of value for yourself just because of the situation that we're in now. And you will not believe this statement, but the worse the economy becomes, the better it is for the particular type of investment I'm going to share with you tomorrow. The worse it is, the more money they're going to throw at putting people to work, the more money they're going to throw at stimulating the economy. And if you know where that money's going and you get there first, boy, you can make a tremendous amount of profit for yourself and your family. So thank you guys so much for joining tonight. I hope you guys learned some things about real estate and ways to make money and different things that are happening out there. I'm letting everybody that needs to go because it's 7 o'clock to go. I'm gonna stay on for another 5 minutes and answer some questions, and I'm gonna break down for the next 5 minutes. Some of these things at the bottom. What is a probate? What is a tax sale? What is a tax lien? What's the difference? But I said what I had to say in the hour. I'm not gonna hold you guys here for those of you that need to go. So thank you guys for joining. And for those of you guys that are still here, let's get into some other stuff. You guys can go ahead and ask some questions, but I'm going to break down all of these different things down here. And if you have one that you want broken down more than the other, type it in and I will go ahead and break it down. As far as abandoned properties, guys, if you drive to an area, you see the grass is overgrown and the property is not well maintained from the outside, or maybe it's boarded up, it's an abandoned property. You might be able to get a crazy discount on that. Find out who owns it. Maybe the city owns it. Maybe you tell the city, hey, look, I'll buy it from you. It's an eyesore. It's blight. It's something that the city doesn't want to see. That's why you guys chose to board it up. People were probably jumping in there and doing what they're not supposed to do in there. That's why you guys chose to board it up. I will take this off your hands. And when they say, oh, it's going to be 200,000, you go, 200, oh my God, no, I can't do that. This property is going to take another 200,000 just to fix it up. If you want me to come in and do it, I have to give you about 125 for it to get it right, to make it look pretty, to bring it back to the right condition. Talk to city officials and get that property, get that abandoned property. If it's abandoned, find out who owns it. Find out where they are. Maybe they're out of state and a parent passed away and they had hopes of rehabbing it themselves, never got around to it, and now they're just ready to get rid of it. Abandoned properties are never listed on the market and they're highly untapped. There's people that just you don't even know. Like there's so many. It's just a great opportunity for you to be in a market where you're not competing with everybody else. Okay, it's like not listed anywhere. You're just driving by and you see a home that's in an unusual amount of disarray, and you go knocking and nobody's there. You're like, huh, I like this. Let me see if I can get a hold of the owner. A probate, I mentioned this before, is a property that is being basically owned by the state because somebody passed away and now the state is owning it, and people are usually fighting to prove that they're the rightful heirs or whatever. But sometimes there's nobody. Sometimes people pass away, they own real estate, and they have nobody to leave it to, and it goes to the state. It's sad, but it gives an opportunity for you. So you guys can pull the probate list from the county recorder's office. So just go down to the county that you're in, say, hey, I'd like to pull a probate list of, and you'll be shocked at how many dozens of properties, if not hundreds of properties, are in probate right now. And that can give you an unfair advantage for yourself to be able to find properties that are not necessarily listed for sale, but that you can contact the owners and you can start working on that. Tax sales in the state of California, we're a tax sale state, so you can buy a property outright 100% at a tax sale auction. Tax sales, or buy it on the steps of the property itself. Tax sales are not what they used to be. I don't know why, but people come in and bid it up above fair market value. But that doesn't mean in every single county that's the problem. So check with your county. If you're in LA County, forget about it. No, tax sales are going to be very difficult unless you're doing like one that's on the steps of the house, or not even a house, apartment complexes, something that's like so expensive that it has a smaller market. But a house, no, forget about it. Tax liens, there are several tax lien states. When a home does not pay their property taxes, that leaves the agency, the schools, the firefighters, the police department underfunded. So they will allow a person from anywhere in the United States or anywhere really to pay those property taxes on behalf of the owner. Now that owner has 6 months to pay you back everything you paid plus 18%, plus 25%, depends on what state you're in, plus 20%. Louisiana is like 20%, Texas is 25%. I think there's different, everybody has different amount, or Louisiana might be 18. Anyway, so you do this tax lien and it's guaranteed profit because you can see all the tax liens, you pay the money. If they don't pay you back in 6 months, you get their property, which is crazy because you might only be paying $1,000 for the tax lien. And if they do pay it off, they got to pay you back your $1,000 plus 25%, which is like, I just made 25% in 6 months. Whoa, cool. So there's people that specialize just in tax liens. But again, if you get the property, what happens? It turns right into a fix and flip. It turns right into a renting of that home. It turns right into something else, okay? Um, or maybe even wholesaling the property. Hey, I bought this house for 1,000. It's a junker. It needs a lot of work. I'll sell it to anybody for 5 grand, type of thing, okay? So tax liens, foreclosures. You guys can go down to your county recorder's office and pull together a list of foreclosures or properties that are going to be foreclosed upon. Foreclosures happen like this. You have to miss 3 months minimum. Then they record a formal foreclosure notification on your property. So now there's a lien on there that says, hey, you're about to be foreclosed. So they notify the trustees. Then there's another 3 months that have to go by where they allow you a chance to make amends to your foreclosure, to take it out of foreclosure. So now that's a 6 month time frame. And then after the 6 months minimum expires, then they have 21 days where they have to circulate in a public newspaper and other public locations that this home is getting ready to be sold. And that's what that's foreclosure. So there is some value in that, but people have become pretty savvy. That may be a little bit more difficult. The skill in the foreclosure process is going to be going up to the owner and saying, hey, I see that you're about to lose your home. How about we don't let that happen? Okay, and there's a whole process for that as well. And you can do the same thing with tax sales and tax liens. Hey, we see your home's about to get sold for taxes owed in California. Why don't you just pay the taxes? It's only 30 grand. So I can come up with the 30 grand, but this is what I need from you in order to make that happen, type of thing. We're going to have to sell the home regular and fair market value versus letting it go for God knows how much at the tax auction where you may not get anything. We'll fix it up and then, we'll split the difference. We'll split the equity. Functional obsolescence. Functional obsolescence is pretty cool because there's two different things I like to do with these type of properties. Functional obsolescence is normally something where I'll take it and go, I have to offer you less because it's functionally obsolete. Nobody wants a 3 bedroom, 1 bathroom home, so I have to offer you less. I'm sorry. Um, and then I'm able to sell that immediately to a developer that wants to knock it down and build a ground up that's going to fit what's going on in the neighborhood, or just go ahead and rehab the heck out of it. Put in new bathrooms, maybe add another unit, maybe add a garage with a unit above it, so that has a additional dwelling unit ADU, something to that effect. But functional obsolescence is cool because you can get into those where the person already knows that their property is not a highly desired property. Okay, so you'll have less people trying to do that. And if you have a neighborhood where a lot of the properties are functionally obsolete and some people have started to make changes, you can start offering, go knocking on every single door like, hey, do you want to sell your home? Have you not put your home for sale because you know it's functionally obsolete? Is that stopping you? Because if it is, I'm here to help. I can buy it at this price, get you out of it. Okay, you can go buy a home that's not functionally obsolete. Don't you want to move to a nicer 3 bedroom house? Okay, well, I'm here to help you have that happen. I'm here to help that situation happen. Forced sales are pretty cool too. If you can find them, like a partnership dispute or a divorce decree. A lot of these are also recorded. So you can go to your county recorder's office and ask county recorder's office and say, hey, I'd like to look at some of the last recordings that had to do with forced sales, and they should be able to tell you some forced sales that are coming up. Like, hey, this partnership, they're in dispute right now, and they've been forced to sell it within the next 30 days. So they have to just sell it, and the price can range anything because they want it sold. The judge has ordered it to be sold, and the price has to be this or higher, or maybe they haven't set a price. They're waiting for offers to come in to then go for the highest price. And you have no idea how many of these properties I bought. You have no idea. I don't even have an idea. That's how much of an idea you don't have, because I don't even know. But I bought a bunch of different forced sale properties, and I'm telling you, I've gotten some at 30 cents on the dollar, like literally 30 cents of for every dollar, and then I was able to sell it at full value. So I made a lot of money doing that. So that's a good one. I like forced sales, and those come up a lot, and I like that. REOs, or real estate owned, stuff that real estate owned, and that's the term that banks use when they own something. So I was talking to my mentor the other day, and he told me one of the first homes he bought that he fixed and flipped. And I think I have my mentor's book here too. Let me see. You guys can go off and buy it. Let me plug my mentor in, because if it wasn't for him, I wouldn't even be here right now talking to you guys about real estate. I had no intention on it really. I just knew I wanted to not necessarily work, but I didn't know exactly what I wanted to do. And he you know, so yeah, so this is my signed copy of his book here. So it's this. Let's see. Can you guys see that? Yeah. The Anatomy of an Entrepreneur, 30-year transition from corporate America into entrepreneurship. So this was written by my mentor, Mr. Osborne. And it's really cool. He talks about in this book, I don't know if he mentioned that the real estate owned portion, but I know we were talking about it. He came over the other day and we were discussing one of the properties. He has pictures of the properties he bought and everything like that. So it's really cool. Um, yeah, but one of them he got from a title company. So he was just trying to figure out how can he buy properties for less or for under market value. And he was in escrow closing a deal, and he asks the escrow company or something like that, hey, do you know of any places I could find some properties that are cheaper? And they're like, well, the title company has some, because whenever the title company makes a mistake and insures a property and then the property has a problem, the title company has to buy it back. So they have properties that they don't want, that they never intended to have. So why don't you contact the title company? I haven't done that, but I'm sure that there's still a department for that. So you may want to check into that too. So I'm just trying to give you every last thing that you can squeeze out of real estate, everything. I'm just trying to tell you every single part of the game that you can get into, and you know, basically everything is part of one of these type of strategies or a combination. New zoning restrictions. I love this one too. This is a bread and butter for me right now. New zoning restrictions and changes. I follow changes in zoning, and every time the County of Los Angeles releases a new map for their zoning changes, I study it, and it's like the Bible, because all the other cities will eventually have to conform. So the city zoning says you can build a house, but the county zoning says not anymore. You can only build hotels and restaurants and businesses. I'm like, what? Whoa. Let me go buy this house now before that zoning takes effect, and then I can sell that house as just land to somebody that wants to build a hotel, and make a nice profit because of that. Economic uncertainty. We're in a pandemic. Like, you don't even know how many homeowners don't know that they can sell their home. Many homeowners are probably sitting around not getting any rent from their renters. 30% of renters are not paying rent. 30%. So if there's three homes and those three homes are being rented, one of them ain't paying. Can you knock on some doors and find out, or I know this home's being rented. I know that home's being rented. I know that home's being rented. Can you go to the county recorder's office and pull the owner's name, contact them and say, hey, how would you like to fix the renter is not paying? In fact, how would you like to make up some of that money? I know you're renting it out for $2,000 or $2,200 a month. I can get you $2,700 a month. How would you like to do that? Okay, and I can get you 20 grand up front and $2,700 a month. And now you turn around and go to a real estate association and say, hey, anybody want to rent a house or buy a home, I'm sorry, for 20 grand down and $2,700 a month, don't matter what your credit looks like. and it's a home in this neighborhood. How many people want to, anybody here, anybody got a cousin, uncle, aunt that want to move to the suburbs and get a bigger house? And they like, I can't because I don't qualify. So I have to stay in this condo in the city, and I don't want to be here anymore. So I want to go rent a house, or I'd rather buy a home, but I can't afford to. Well, now you can. So you going through and doing the homework and putting that under contract can really make you a profit. So I see Tiffany, tax liens. You still have questions on tax liens? There are there are some experts that I know in the tax lien industry that tax liens, again, California is not a tax lien state. It's a tax deed state. They sell the property in the state. They do not do liens. And in other states, I have experts in different states that are my friends that that's all they do is tax liens. That's it. So I've learned from them. And, they do charge to learn the game, but they're good at what they do. They know it very well, and they have a ton of experience. And once you do one or two, it's pretty easy. Pretty easy, okay? So you don't need a whole lot of cash to do it. And it's just if you get stuck with the house, that's a good problem, bad problem, right? If you don't have no money, you're like, what am I gonna do? I need to fix this up. I can't just let it sit. I mean, you could let it sit, but then you're just paying property taxes. And if you leave the house empty, I'm telling you, somebody's gonna break in and damage it at some point. So you gotta have like the ability to rent it out and at least get it fixed up to rentable conditions if it's not. And there's also some other pitfalls with tax liens. They have a certain amount of time to come back, even after you've been awarded the home. In some states, they will allow the person to come back even a year later. And if you've made upgrades to the property, because they're driving by like, oh, look at my old house, it looks nice. Oh my gosh, I should have paid the taxes. Let me see if I can still do that. And they can actually, they can. And in that case, they're required to have to pay you back everything you put into the home. Now, the judge can make a determination. This house did not need a chandelier, so we're not giving you any reimbursement on that. We're going to give you the reimbursement of a light fixture. Chandelier was $400. A light fixture is $50. Reimbursement is settled at $50. What else did you do? You put in hardwood floors. You didn't have to put in hardwood floors. You could have put in carpet. So carpet is $1 a square foot. You pay $4 a square foot. So he's going to be ordered to pay you $1 a square foot. Blah 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 blah. So that could happen. Again, if you get me started on any topic, I can go for an hour or more just telling you stuff. And if you want to take like a course that I have not created because I never had to, I did it myself, but I would have to create a whole course. I don't have it available. So it would be like a one-on-one thing, or I'll have to point you in the right direction to who can help you with that. That's not cool. Yeah. Yeah, you're in the Bay Area. It's in the info. Yeah, Bay Area has been collapsing a lot, so there's a lot of opportunity there in the Bay Area. If you could find someone that doesn't know that they can get more for their home and they've been renting it out and the renters aren't paying, they're going to be desperate to make up the losses that they've been taking and say, hey, you know what? I kind of want to evict this person at this point, and they're only paying me 2,300. If I can get 27, I'll take it in a second. And now you can put somebody in there that may not have the best credit, but has, the ability to make that monthly payment and wants to make that monthly payment, or they're making that monthly payment and rent someplace else for someplace that's smaller in the city that they want to get out of because you have no idea. Some of these studios in San Francisco could be $4,000 a month. It's crazy. So there's a lot of opportunity to get people like that, high income earners, go into a big building like that and talking to people coming out. Hey, are you looking to move to the suburbs? I have a house that you can buy with no credit checks. You can do that. If you're that hungry, I'm telling you, door knocking works. You just got to be hungry and focused. And yeah, that is not cool. You're right, Tiffany, that if you make repairs to the home that you got through tax lien, that they can still come back. They have a right, I can't remember, a right of redemption for like, it depends on the state. It could be 6 months, it could be a year, it could be 2 years. Some don't have it. Some have no right of redemption. However, if it was their homestead and they checked the box when they bought it, this is my primary residence, then they do have protection. So you have to then check that. There's a lot that goes into that. But I'm not seeing any more questions, and I've been talking for a long time. So I'm assuming that most people are gone or you guys are just waiting for tomorrow. But either way, I'm going to go ahead and head off. So thank you guys so much for joining today, and I look forward to speaking with you guys tomorrow on some more real estate stuff. And again, it's going to be a lot of fun, and I hope that you guys are going to learn a lot. So thanks again for joining, guys. Have a great evening.